Welcome to the Midlife Edit, the podcast for women who are navigating the beautiful, messy, and sometimes sweaty journey of midlife. This isn't about a crisis, it's about an awakening. Join me, your host, Jen Weinstein, as I dive into all the things no one warned us about: hot flashes, brain fog, strength training, hormone balancing, and figuring out who the hell we are now. With a mix of expert insights, real talk, and a little humor, because if we're not laughing, we're crying, right? The Midlife Edit is your go-to space for embracing this season with confidence, strength, and balance. Whether you're trying to lift heavier, sleep better, set stronger boundaries, or just remember why you walked into a room, this podcast is here to remind you: midlife is not the end, it's just an edit, and you get to rewrite it your way. Hit subscribe and let's tackle midlife together, one episode at a time. This is the Midlife Edit. Let's make it a damn good chapter. Hey friends, and welcome back to the Midlife Edit. I'm your host, Jen Weinstein, and today we're going to have a little real talk. Because if you've been wondering, is this perimenopause or am I just completely burnt out? You're not alone. I get asked this question a lot. We talk about it a lot in my friend groups or on social media. And honestly, I ask myself this too. Fatigue, brain fog, irritability, low motivation, poor sleep, mood swings, all those, they can be hormonal, but they can also be the result of chronic stress, overwork, emotional labor, and our never-ending to-do lists. So today we're going to unpack the overlap between perimenopause symptoms and burnout. We're going to talk about how to tell what might be going on, and most importantly, what you can do to support yourself, no matter the cause. So why is it so hard to tell the difference? Well, perimenopause and burnout, they're best friends. And I mean that in the most chaotic, messy way possible. Let's break it down for a minute. Perimenopause is the transition phase before menopause, when estrogen and progesterone start fluctuating. And friends, it can last 4 to 10 years. 4 to 10 years. No, right? And what's burnout? Well, burnout's the state of physical, emotional, and mental exhaustion caused by prolonged stress. And guess what? These best friends, they share symptoms. Some of them are fatigue, low libido, mood swings, anxiety, irritability, brain fog, sleep disturbances, low motivation, or just like that feeling of fires. So if you're a woman in your 40s or 50s and you're working or caregiving, managing a household, or maybe going through some big life changes, of course you're wondering, which one is it? Spoiler alert, sometimes it's both. So how do you start untangling it? Well, here's the thing. You don't need a perfect diagnosis to start feeling better. Honestly, you're probably not going to get one. If you have been to the doctors lately and you've been feeling all these things and you're giving, some of these doctors your symptoms, they're going to tell you, oh, you're just getting older, or, oh, eat better, exercise, lose weight. Sometimes they just don't really know. Unfortunately, they're just not trained. And honestly, sometimes they don't care. I don't remember which podcast. Maybe it was one with Dr. Marie Claire Hayden or whatever her name is, that menopause doctor. And she was talking about when they were in training for gynecological services. It's OB and gyne, and they did the whole baby thing, and then they went on to like the next step, and the doctors in the practice that she was training in said, oh, you have a WW in room whatever. She's like, WW? What does that stand for? Well, the doctors were calling them whiny women because they felt like, oh, they're just whining about something. But friends, I know as well as you do, these symptoms, we're not just whining, they're real. They're real symptoms, and we have to advocate for ourselves at the doctors, and we need to tell them exactly what's going on. And if that doctor is not listening to you, you need to go to another. So anyway, that's just a little bit about doctors. And there are truly ones out there who have studied this and continue to study this and really want to help you. So just find yourself that right doctor. Anyway, You don't need that perfect diagnosis to start feeling better, but here's some clues. If your cycle's changing, so if it's shorter or longer or heavier or you're skipping periods, that's most likely hormones, right? But if you're in constant fight or flight mode and you're always tense and snapping at people, feeling trapped, that's often stress and burnout. If you lost joy or passion for things that you used to love, or you just feel emotionally numb, like you don't care, that leans towards burnout. And if you're physically experiencing hot flashes, night sweats, vaginal dryness, those are hormonal markers. But the reality is, these often pile up on top of each other, right? I mean, you know it. And sometimes we don't even realize that we're burnout, or we don't realize that we're in perimenopause. Some of these symptoms are crazy. Like the other day, I felt validated. I talk about social media, how it's good and bad, but this part of social media was so good because I felt validated because there was a woman on there talking about perimenopause symptoms. And sure, we've heard, the hot flashes and the night sweats and the brain fog and the itchy ears, um, mood swings, everything else. But the itchy ears I had for a while, it kind of went away. And sometimes I feel like bugs, like that itchy, creepy feeling. But she said, I've heard itchy shins are a symptom. And oh my gosh, I almost wanted to cry, honest to God, guys, because my right shin has been so itchy that I've scratched skin, broken skin off of it a little bit. And, I use self tanner. I'm not gonna lie, I don't care, I'll tell you. But it's funny because I scratched it so much that I scratched the self tanner right off my skin. It was almost like I had dirt under my fingernails from it. My right shin has been so damaged. Anyway, so these are some symptoms that pile up on top of each other. Obviously, when you're itchy, you're not thinking, oh my gosh, I'm burnt out. But that constant fight or flight mode and snapping at people or feeling trapped or just not feeling like yourself, that could be both, right? You're losing joy or passion. Maybe it's burnout, but maybe you're just changing. Maybe your mind's changing or you're finally doing things for yourself. We just don't know because they can pile up on top of each other. And perimenopause can make you more vulnerable to stress, and stress can worsen the perimenopause symptoms. Great, I gave you all this bad news and we're talking about symptoms. Oh my gosh, is this ever going to get better? Yes, it will. But what can we do right now? Now what? Here's your gentle but firm reminder. You don't have to wait for a crisis or a lab result to take care of yourself. You don't need somebody else's permission to take care of you. So what are some ways you can support yourself? Check your stress load. What can go? What can be delegated or delayed? I know that's hard. I know that's hard. And I'm so thankful for all of you out there who understand this, because I think that sometimes, even if we have the most amazing partners in our life, men just don't understand. They don't understand the stress and the mind games that we play with ourselves, that we have to be the one to do everything. We don't ask for help. We don't, because we think that we can take it on ourselves. So check that stress load. Write it down if you have to. What can go? What can you get rid of? What can somebody else do for you? Gentle reminder for this too, because I have to remind myself all the time. If you ask somebody else to do something for you, it's okay if it's not what they want it to be. If they're helping, if it's something like laundry and they didn't fold it right, or they didn't vacuum the way you would have, or whatever. If they're helping, just try to let them go. It's so hard. Next, prioritize rest. And not sleeping at night, but real rest. Not just scrolling or zoning out, but activities that restore you. Good sleep, nature, hobbies, quiet time. Maybe go for a walk and leave the phone at home. I know that sounds crazy, but sit with yourself. Talk to yourself. Probably in your head, though, not out loud. Your neighbors might call and be worried about you. But no, honestly, just take some time for yourself. Find a new hobby. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's crocheting or writing or gardening. Just get some quiet time for yourself. Nourish your body. Listen, this is so important. So, so important. Think of how you feel physically when you overeat something that just doesn't sit well with you. Everybody's different, right? I could eat something and feel completely fine. You could eat something and it just not sit well with you. But think about that, you know, for me, it's when I overindulge in pizza. Love pizza. But if I eat too many slices, I feel, ugh. So think about that next time you go to eat. And if you're stressed out or if your perimenopause symptoms are really perimenopausing, nourish your body with some protein or fiber. We don't talk enough about fiber. I just saw a study the other day that colon cancer in millennials and younger generations are at an all-time high because we're not eating enough fiber. So get some fiber in. Hydration. Drink water. Have a cup in your hand all the time. Water just, it's amazing the good effects that it has for you, not just with your body, but it makes you feel better all around. Balanced meals. This is something that's really hard for me, especially because of the way I work. And sometimes I just get so zoned into something, and I honestly get to eat lunch or maybe breakfast, and then by the time dinner comes around, I'm just want to eat. Try to balance out your meals. No extreme diet. If you extreme diet right now where you're overly stressed or you're going through these crazy perimenopause symptoms, it's just going to make it worse. Move intentionally. Talk about this all the time. Strength training. Strength training has such good benefits. And honestly, one of the greatest benefits is when you're done, you feel so proud of yourself. I've never gone to the gym and left afterwards thinking, oh, I wish I wouldn't have done that. Now, sometimes it takes me an ass kicking to get myself there, but once I'm done, I'm so thankful I did that. Or how about just walking or stretching? Don't do punishing workouts. Don't punish yourself because you overate. Work out because you can and you have the opportunity to, and because it makes your body feel good. The other one, seek support. One thing that is really tough in our generation is, it's one of those things where we kind of internalize things, right? Thankfully, we've been talking more about perimenopause as a society. We talk so much more about mental health in therapy than we used to when we were growing up. Because we were growing up, we thought therapies for crazy people. Honestly, I hate to say that, but I did. I'm so thankful. I think that it's so important. I think that being able to talk to someone, whether it's a therapist or a friend or a partner or a coach, talking to somebody about how you feel and not internalizing it makes you almost automatically feel better. And then also talk to your doctor. And again, if your doctor is not listening, find one that will. I've talked on here about my doctor. My doctor is my PCP. It's not even my gynecologist who has listened to all of these things and symptoms and helped me through the beginnings and middle of perimenopause. And I'm so thankful for her. But it took a while to find somebody who would. But if these symptoms are impacting your quality of life, there are medical options, whether it's hormonal, like hormone replacement therapy, HRTs, or maybe it's, you need something for anxiety or depression. It's okay. Just explore your options. Talk to your doctor. So listen, I want to share this. It's personal, but I talk to you guys a lot about the things that I've been going through and that I've gone through. I went through a stretch where I convinced my hormones were apart, right? I got blood work, I'm on estradiol, supplements, all the things. You know what I realized? Sure, some of my symptoms were perimenopause, but also I was burnout. And it was my fault that I was burnt. I'm not going to sit here and bash myself, but I needed to take a step back. I needed to slow down. I needed to say no. I needed to take some pressure off of myself and let other people help. So was it perimenopause? Yeah, partly. But it was also the years of running on empty or trying to get that pat on the back or trying to be everything for everybody but myself. Needed to start taking care of myself mentally, physically. And there is no shame in that. And sometimes being selfish is actually very selfless. Taking care of you first is super important because if you're not taking care of yourself, you can't take care of others the way that you want to. You just can't. Maybe for a short time, but not all the time. So listen, if you're sitting there wondering, is this just midlife or am I burning out? Maybe don't rush to label it. Instead, maybe ask yourself, what can I care for myself today? Start there. If you were a part of the Midlife Gains Club on Facebook, you will notice that I switched the name. I kind of switched my branding up a little bit. Same podcast, different branding. But now it's called the Midlife Insight. And I try to engage there as much as I can. Join it. It's a community. It's a private Facebook community for my listeners. You can share things with each other. And even if you don't share and you just read or you see somebody who's a member on there that you know, see how they're doing. Ask yourself. It's okay to take care of you. I am so thankful for all the amazing women that this platform has brought me to, the guests on my podcast that I have met through social media all over the country. And honestly, coming up in August, all over the world. I'm thankful that we're talking about this. I'm thankful that this whole perimenopause journey that I've been on, it's not perfect, but I know that I have support out there. So honestly, talking to this microphone right now is very, I don't even know how to put it. I'm just so thankful for it because I know that my voice, whether it's just relaying it back to me or it's helping somebody else, I know that it matters and you matter and your symptoms matter. And if you're burnout, take time for yourself. Because again, the airplane, when you're on the airplane, the flight attendants say, put your mask on before you put your neighbor's mask on. It's so important. Make sure that we're okay before we can take care. Thank you so much for listening today. If this episode hit home for you, share it with somebody who needs the reminder. Share it with your partner who needs to hear that you're not crazy. Sometimes there's just a lot of stuff going on and you don't know how to handle it, and that's okay. Take care of you. If you're struggling, reach out to somebody. Don't struggle alone. Because there are people out there who understand, who care, and who want to help, and I'm one of them. So if you don't have anybody else in your life that you can talk to, get me a DM. I got you. And as always, I'm so, so grateful you're here. Until next episode, make sure you're taking care of you. This is Midlife Edit. Let's make it a damn good Tuesday. See you next week.